language you don't usually hear on television. Millwall, in London's Dockland.
No one likes it, but we don't care. We're that Millwall podcast. Loud every Friday night right here. Legends like Jimmy Abdul, Teddy Sheringham, and the kitchen of two. Super Neil Harris, a fucking legend too. Through the good times and in this life, we support the Lions all our life. This ain't no place for fancy feet. This is fucking Millwall through and through. Located on our very own John Pedersen way. Let them walk, mum, let them have their say. Millwall till we die. With that Millwall podcast, loud every Friday night right here.
Good evening, welcome to another edition of that Millwall podcast, that Friday night live show. Well, gents, it's been a really quiet week. I don't think there's much to talk about. I mean, Stephen, can you think of anything what we need to be talking about tonight?
No, I think we're going to struggle tonight, chaps. It's going to be a bit of a difficult one.
It is what it is.
That's not how I expected you to reply there. I thought you had something lined up, but then
I have to a degree, but yeah. Thanks, Richard. Loving your comments all over the place, mate. Why is this on? Could have all been at the den watching it, or we could be watching it on a stream. Some of us have got families and can't always just, get out and about, but it is what it is. We have got our roving reporters live at the den. So we will be having them get in the chat and giving us updates. And also because it is on YouTube, we are live around the world. And those who aren't watching live will be watching it on a repeat once you get home. So much appreciated for your comments, Richard. Welcome, the one and only Jay. How you doing, fella? You all right?
Evening, Mick. Evening, Steve. How are we doing?
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, all good, mate. All good.
So, we're all good.
Evening chat as well.
Yeah. Good evening to the chat and good stuff. But you're watching this at the minute, though, Rich. So that's all cool. So enjoy the second half.
Yeah, welcome. Rich.
Right then, there's loads to talk about, I suppose. And as promised, both you gents well.
Very well.
Stephen looks a bit like
looking forward to diving into this.
Stephen looks a bit like pop-up pirate tonight, doesn't he?
Oh, here we go. Is the next one on the list? And in response to Richard, I'm going to get this out of the way early now because of said under-21 game at the den this evening. My charity game was moved. It's outrageous.
Your charity game?
Charity game.
Oh,
the game I'm playing in. Okay. It's been moved to tomorrow night. I know the Tyson Fury fight is on at the same time, but if you got some spare time, if you fancy coming down and watching, a couple of lads try and play football, you're all more than welcome.
That's it. Right, I found this the other day. I've spoken to the person who created it, and he's given me full permission to be able to play it. And I just think that it's a great video to go into our next segment, what we're going to be sitting there talking about. And so I'm going to play this. It's from a guy on Twitter. You can give him a follow, called Detours, Detours 360. And he just happened to visit the den. Good evening. I think that was a great intro in to basically mark what appears to be a new beginning. It just seems that James Berylson is here and he's set his stall out, and basically whatever's gone on, and I just think that states where we're going. Obviously, I don't know if everyone's read the statement that come out last night at 9 o'clock. Obviously, from Jimmy, I will read it for you. It's on the website. It says, "I want to begin by thanking all our fans for their unwavering support for both this football club and my family throughout this difficult season. I will never forget the reception my family received at home against Bristol City. The atmosphere at the Den against Norwich City, and hearing the relentless noise from the away end at St Mary's as we secured a huge win in Neil Harris's first game back as head coach. Early in 2024, we found ourselves close to the relegation zone, and we could not allow that fate to befold us. We need help, and we found it in a familiar face, Neil Harris. Our decision to reappoint Neil proved to be pivotal in recovering our form and season. He led with his characteristic grit and determination, and what followed was a series of stunning victories, finding ourselves clear of relegation with 2 games to spare. This achievement was witnessed by the largest crowds at the Den since the 1950s, a testament to our fans who we will never take for granted. It's not just our first team that I want to acknowledge. Our academy continues to make us proud of its achievements. Our under-21s celebrated back-to-back Professional Development League South titles, who a lot of you are watching tonight in the semi. The under-18s were crowned Professional Development League Cup champions. The under-14s won the Albert Phelan Cup South. Congratulations to everybody involved, especially Scott Fitzgerald, our academy director. The academy is very important to us and is a key element in the greater success I want to bring to Millwall. I have made some changes at senior management level, including the appointment of Steve Gallen as Director of Football, who, as well as providing support to Neil, will focus on youth development and recruitment, in which he has extensive experience and an excellent track record. With the recent decision by Lewisham Council to offer Millwall a new 999-year lease on our stadium and the adjoining land with permitted development, we can bring forward our plans for the further expansion of the club and its facilities. We can also protect and nurture the Millwall Community Trust and its vital charitable activities, and we can seek to create a new community in New Bermondsey, which has been neglected and deserves much better. My father, John Berylson, fought tirelessly to provide the club and its local community with these benefits, and at last we can begin to feel that his vision is taking shape. Mark Fairbrother, who recently rejoined Millwall as Managing Director with responsibility for non-football operations, will have his work cut out, and I'm confident that we have found the right person for this critical role. Mark and Steve will work collaboratively with myself and our senior management team, Luke Wilson, Emma Parker, Scott Fitzgerald, and build on their brilliant work done to date. They will also be supported by our very talented and dedicated staff members, who I cannot praise enough for their efforts, particularly in the past 12 months. They have been the heartbeat, the engine room, and the driving force behind the scenes that will often go unnoticed in the public eye to ensure we have a functioning football club day to day, day in, day out, and I thank them for that. Put all of this together and we have the ingredients for growth, success, and achievement in the coming years. Our fans are vital to making this vision a success. The best times are yet to come. I'm going to change this bit because I think it should be fuck 'em all. James Berylson, the chairman. Obviously, it doesn't say that. It says let them come, but I do think it should. If it had said fuck them all, that would have just been phenomenal. But yeah, Jay, your thoughts on that? I think that's a war cry to a degree.
That is exactly that. It's a call to arms. This is a changing of the guard, and this is laying out the law of the land. This is I am in charge. This is the new protocol. This is the new system in place. This is who's doing what. And at the end of the day, everyone reports to me. I'm in charge now. And this is our vision. And he is putting himself at the head of the table, and he's prepared to take full accountability, full responsibility for what happens in the future. And I was shocked at the timing that it came out. I thought it was very interesting, but
it was weird. because me and you
Very
me and
weird.
you
We was on
had a
the
chat
phone with
last
each other.
night when it broke, and we were saying today when we had a chat, Stephen, it was like we should have really just gone live or pre-recorded a show, because we literally ripped that statement to pieces, and literally went, oh yeah, and you know. But I mean, your thoughts on that statement, though, Stephen?
Similar to what Jay said, I'll be honest with you. The more I think about it, I think that this summer was always going to be the launch pad for Berylson. I think this season has kind of, I know he took over last year, but he was thrown in at the deep end, let's be honest, and had to make the decision on Edwards and all of that kind of stuff. But this summer, I think, you know, things go on behind the scenes. I reckon they were fairly confident they were going to get the lease, the news about the lease. He was always going to go in his own direction. I think he probably felt that Harris was going to keep us up. So, you know, you can't always know for sure, but I think he felt that was going to be the case. And this is him now saying, right, we're pressing the button. We're going for, you know, we are going for that top division. He's not setting a time frame, which I think is important. I think people have to realize that this might be a little bit of a process. So next year might not just be all gung ho, but what he's saying is that we're not going to be a stagnant championship club and sit at this level. We are going to go for it. And as Jay said, take responsibility. If it doesn't work, it's on his shoulders. If it does work, it's on his shoulders. And that's the way to be, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's a good way to, you know, keep John's legacy alive within the club. I think it's it sets a stall out. I don't think when John was here, did we have a chairman come out with, you know, a couple of statements within the space of a week or so, what's basically gone, this is where we want to go for. Let's go for it. I've got a few little concerns maybe around it, but my hope is that they have a mixture. I hope that they go professional players, proven players who can do a job, and mix that in with some of our under 21s. I mean, Malik's has scored tonight. So yeah, it's. I think it's. I think. Look, it's. I think it's interesting times ahead. So yeah, personally,
do you not think that last summer we perhaps would have started with this phase a little bit, in the sense of, I think Fleming may have been sold had John had not passed away, and we would have then started to reinvest into the first team playing squad. I think the bid from Burnley may have been accepted, but do you think this time that we're now, I know obviously a lot's changed and we're going in a new direction, but we're almost starting the phase of, this is the opportunity to move forward. How we're going to do it is potentially, sell players to reinvest in the first team squad. Do you think maybe that we're in this position? Berylson's gone, right, this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to raise a bit of money, and that's why the news of Fleming's been broke so early.
What do you mean the news of Fleming's been broke so
well?
early?
I know, like, they brought out that story, didn't they, to say that Ipswich have been heavily watching him, and Alan.
Who brought the story out?
News at Den, or Southwark News, or wherever it was. They said that his agency, the agency that represents Fleming, are looking to sell him this summer. And I think Millwall have gone, okay, well, we'll use that money to reinvest. I just think I know nothing's guaranteed in football. But I know that.
Yeah, but we're in the twilight zone compared to transfers at the minute. No transfers can be done if players are in contract. Spain's window isn't open yet, so he can't go to Spain. I think that.
Oh no, it's not going to happen right now.
And I don't forget. I mean, it's all down to whether or not the club actually wants to sell, whatever the fee is. I know. No, there's been a few weird things this week, like all of a sudden now it's all about the sell-on fee has already been sorted out. Well, okay, it's either been removed or it's been sorted out. If it's been sorted out, what have we paid it at? Because if we've sorted it out that potentially we're looking at 15 million for him, then it's a lot of money if we only get 8 for him. Do you know what I mean?
Well, no, but what I'm saying is, Mick, is that I think John Berylson at the time and maybe the board realised that by selling Fleming was an opportunity to reinvest in the playing squad. John passed away, so negotiations. We assume, I'm assuming that it was close with Burnley, but then that was called off. This summer, I think the club will sell Fleming. I don't see him staying beyond the summer transfer window. And what they're going to do, they're going to start the process now by saying, right, okay, we don't want to be a selling club, but that's how you start the process. We'll get, in my opinion, between 5 and 8 million for Zian Fleming, in my opinion, and then
Listen, I think personally, I mean, Jay might deny, or you two, might deny. I think realistically, I don't think anything less than 8 million. Really, with looking around what fees get transferred around, I don't think we necessarily get less than that. I don't think less than that would be worth it, but I don't necessarily know if he will be gone, because the only person at the moment, it's agent talk, and we don't even know if it is his agent yet, because he hasn't necessarily been quoted, or if it's just media spin and rumours flying around and all that, because it's just it's because he's been spotted in Spain. I've seen that he's signed for
it's not that.
I've seen him being signed for this and seeing him being signed for this. No one knows yet. We don't know, do we? Really, right now?
No, we don't. We don't. I agree that if you base it on stats, I posted this the other day. 31 goals and assists combined in 2 seasons for us. That's what clubs look at. They look at stats. He is worth money. Millwall don't necessarily do the best in terms of negotiations, which is why around £8 million for me would be good business. But everybody knows that Zian Fleming joined Millwall was a stepping stone. We all know it, and that's just how it is. He come over to put himself in the shop window. From my opinion, that's absolutely fine, providing that those negotiating the deal get the best deal for the club.
Yeah, well, we'll come back onto Fleming in a minute when we're talking about the summer transfers and whatnot, because nothing's set in stone yet, and I don't necessarily want to fee you. But I mean, going back to the statement and whatnot, I think what you said a little while back on it is take Fleming out of the equation. I think that the fact that we brought in an accomplished guy who looks at developing youth and then looking to sell youth, I think potentially that's the avenue where we're going. You say, look, Baz there, Richard Cowley. So, with what's come out this week with Cav and Billy and all that lot, Richard Cowley breaking it, is it there to just, cause a bit of turmoil and whatnot? I don't know. Until it happens, we're never going to, and I can't ask anyone at the club because they won't tell you anything on transfers. But I want to go back to his statement. Obviously, Billy and Aldo put their statements out on their LinkedIn. They were both very similar. Thank you very much for the time I've been here, pretty much thanking the fans, thanking everyone else. And, it's been a pleasure to work and all that. They're very similar, aren't they, Jay? They're not.
Yeah, no, they are, but credit to them. They were quite heartfelt statements, although generic. They still did the right thing. They thanked the club. They paid tribute to John. They said that the club was moving in a good direction under James. They thanked the fans and give some iconic moments that they've been a part of. So look, credit to them for making their statements. I do feel it was off the back of James's statement. I do feel that there was an agreement in place that all parties would make a parting statement, and James was first, which is why it was last night. But they're not here anymore. It's a new chapter. Thank them for their service for the club. People may have different opinions, but they were servants of the club. So they give a good account of themselves with the way they said goodbye. So it is goodbye, and we move on.
No, that's it. I mean, Andrew, we'll come on to that in a minute. We'll come on to your point in a minute. But I just think there's been a little bit of turmoil over the last week. You think last Friday show? It was last Friday when it all went. Last Friday morning, all of a sudden the announcement come out. We went mad on Friday, and we decided that there was no point doing a show on Sunday, purely because we pretty much discussed everything on Friday. We did think there was going to be a statement potentially come out about who the new person was going to be on the Saturday maybe, and there wasn't, or on the Friday evening, wasn't it? And then we could carry it over, but it wasn't. and it got to Sunday, and it was like pretty much what we were going to do was go over old ground. But I don't know. It's a different statement. I don't think we've really had this sort of communication from a chairman before. I mean, under John, it never felt it felt as if it was a personal statement as such. But we know that, you know, probably a lot of it was written by the press office, etc. But this just, even if it is written, it feels a little bit more personal.
My initial response when I was talking to you, Mick, when it come through, was that this was all James Belson. He had written this statement up and give it to whoever deals with it and said, this is what I want to say, touch it up, dot some I's, cross some T's, make some spelling mistakes. And it did feel very much like it did come from the heart with James Belson. It wasn't generic. It was very thoughtful, I thought, and also very direct. And it put the club on notice. It told the fans who's doing what, who's in what role, and who reports to who. And it's give the fan base a very clear direction of how the club's now going to be run, and also his intentions. He's not just put the staff he's put in place on notice, he's put himself on notice, because he is, like I just said, taking full responsibility for everything. And this statement, like we just said, and like I believe, this was a call to arms, this was a rally, and this was, let's fucking go for it. And I do believe he's going to do that, because you don't make the changes he's made, employ the people he's employed, if you have got zero intention of pumping any money into the club and going for it. I think it's going to be a very busy summer, and I think we're going to be really surprised with, one, the finances, and two, the aggression that he's pumped into the club over the summer.
Stephen?
I don't want to get caught up too much on the transfers again, but
we'll come to that in a minute. We'll come to the transfers in a minute. We'll finish off his statement, and then
what Jay said about that lots of money will be pumped in. I go a slightly different way. I think it'll be the standard of player that comes in rather than anything else. I think that's what will surprise us, rather than spending perhaps lots and lots of money. And I know that sounds an odd comment, but I think that they'll look to buy maybe one or two players. But in terms of the statement and what the direction of the club, I think Berylson's just deciding he's pushing the button, and that's it. We're going to go for it. What that means for us as a club, nobody really knows, and it could all go wrong. You know, we have to accept that. But I don't think James is happy with a stable mid-table championship side. I think he wants to be reaching for the stars.
And I think you do. So overall, I think we're in agreement that the statement was good. It's forward. Looking at the chats, obviously there's a lot of comments in there around it, which we can come back to. And I think what we do is we'll end the statement chat, because we've done it, and we'll look at the transfers.
If we could just, sorry to cut you off, mate, but Neil Harris also put out a statement.
Yeah, well. But he didn't. I mean, if you read that, he didn't really say a lot.
It didn't really sound like it come from.
It was very. No, it was very. It looked very filled out with other bits and pieces, and looked as if he probably just went like, "Yeah, it happens in football. People come, people go. Steve, Billy, Aldo are good people, nice human beings, and that was pretty much it. And then it looked as if there was a lot of feel." You know, a lot of Phil put into it,
but there hadn't been. Neil Harris had been radio silent since the announcement of Cav and Aldo and Billy had gone. So it was nice that there was some speculation of people maybe thinking that Harris wasn't on board, or Harris had the that sort of thing. So it was nice to just see that Harris has acknowledged everything. He's clearly here to stay for the summer, and he follows James Berylson's view and ambition. That's sort of what I took from it, albeit very filled out with a load of nonsense among some key points he made.
I would have thought that I would have preferred to see Neil Harris's statement possibly on the club's website.
On video. Yeah, by video as well. Because you normally get a statement from Harris by video. He normally talks about it to Max or to whoever, but at least he's now acknowledged the situation, and it doesn't sound like Harris is going anywhere or there's any bad blood or anything like that. He's acknowledged it, and we can move on with Harris being in the dugout for next season. And hopefully, good things are going to happen with that. But everyone's made a statement now. So it's all out there.
apart from us, and we're not going to. So yeah, right.
From us, yeah.
No, that's it. Right, we're going to come back and I think you lot want it. So we're going to talk about the transfers and straight after this, Stephen, you can come in first and talk about Fleming. Go on then, Stephen.
No, I just, as I say, I really see that someone behind the scenes at Millwall, I hope, has finally seen the light that we've been run so poorly off the field in terms of transfers and contracts and not getting fees for players. Ben, our Northern correspondent, is adamant on this topic. He talks about it a lot, how we need to get better off the pitch. And I think Fleming is an opportunity to do that. Do I want us to sell him? Probably not. I do still think he is our best player, and he would be a big miss. But if you can sign him we signed him for what we think around 1.7 million. We have paid something to Fortuna. Let's, for argument's sake, say we paid them, I don't know, another £1 million, right? So pushing, say, 3 million. If you can get up to £8 million, you're making a lot of money on him, and that's how you start progressing forward. Another person who we have been speaking about, and JR will call you back in to this one. We were talking briefly about him before we joined the call.
I know exactly.
Don't say it.
Mate. It's in the comments anyway, mate. It's in the comments. Cole has put it there. Look.
We don't want another one like Jed Wallace leaving on a free transfer. 100%. We do not want another situation like that. However, question for the chat, the first one of the evening. If he become available on a loan this summer, would you take Jed Wallace back? Me, it's a no. Jay, counter argument?
First, I'll touch on and I'll leave the chat in suspense and yourself in suspense for Jed Wallace. But with Fleming, look, but you do not buy out his sell-on clause if you do not intend to sell him, because you just keep him. Why would you spend unnecessary money if you're going to keep him? It doesn't make sense. So I do think that Fleming's going to go. I think Fleming can help the club more by being sold than he can by being here. Fleming's a great player. He's been a real good player for the last 2 years. Even in a down year, was still our best player this season. So if we can recoup £8 million for him, including the 20% sell-on clause that we bought out, fantastic. You can go and get a Tanganga. You can go and get Longman. You can get another midfielder in. You've got money to spend on top of the finances we've got. In regards to Jed Wallace, people are going to slate me about this, but if Jed Wallace is available on a free or he's available on loan, Jed Wallace is still a quality player in this division.
I've put a poll up, yeah, and this is a comment so far, mate.
And do you know what? And this is why we do this podcast. This is a difference of opinions. We're all friends here. We're all family, and this is what makes podcasts great. We can disagree we can agree to disagree.
There you go, Connor. Is Connor your son?
I will take it. Right. But Jed Wallace played his best football in Neil Harris's system. He understands Neil Harris football. He understands Millwall Football Club, and he would be a coup. And if you can get him on a free, you ain't got to spend much money. You could stick him out wide. If you get Longman in, that's another winger out on the left-hand side. If you sell Fleming, you stick SA in the 10, and you spend that money on a real decent striker, not an injury-prone striker, and you go and get a centre-half and a central midfielder. That is a good forward line. It really is. Anyone that... I think people are talking about Jed Wallace with possible angry heads that, the way he left and things like that, and you don't want retreads. Harris is a retread and he's worked out pretty well twice. I would happily have Jed Wallace back. He's shown love for the club since he's left. He's very respectful to JB. He clearly has love for the club, and he's a top quality player at this league. He played up front for West Brom for most of the season due to Thomas Asante's injury, and he's kept them in the playoffs, playing now where we should be. So I don't think anybody should really dislike if Jed come back for nothing. I wouldn't spend money on him.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, right?
Line the blue, right.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. No. It's not. As I say, it's. I think that I can understand it because of how good he was under Harris. But you've got two options, right? Option one is signing Jed Wallace on a free transfer as your right winger for the season, or you spend 500,000 and you sign Ryan Longman permanently. Which one are you taking?
Why can't you have both?
No,
We clearly lack serious depth
what,
in that area.
We do, but what I'm saying is, would you rather go back to Jed, or would you look to go to someone who might be here long term in Longman? If it was a straight up one or the other.
If it was only one or the other, which I mean I don't think it is, but just to obviously please the argument, I would sign Ryan Longman. I would,
and that's to me. That says, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you're thinking about the longer term rather than the shorter term, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. But if this is not going to happen, this Premier League ambition and this turnover is not going to happen in one transfer window. If you can get Jed Wallace in for nothing to propel you, he has goals in him. He's not an injury-prone player. He understands club. He knows Harris ball. He plays best football here. Still got it about him. If you could bring him in for free to help that process, to help coach a younger winger, to help get you some results, to keep you up so that we can spend money elsewhere and rebuild on a one-year deal, for instance, why would anybody say no? I don't understand why anybody would say no. He can help the club, and that's what we're after. He's a top championship player. I'm not saying sign him for 4 years and he starts and he's the captain and he's the main man again. I'm saying if he's available on a free and he's willing to come back, you make him part of the squad.
For those just on the argument, Jed Wallace is 30, turned 30 in March. So people talking about his age.
No, that's it. And also those of you who've just joined us, we don't have Popeye, it's Stephen. Don't panic. Stephen isn't Popeye and Jay isn't Olive or Brutus.
I'm closer to Brutus.
Question what you just said there, yes, Steve, Jay, and obviously for both of you. What if we get into potential for the Prem? Me personally, I think, the only way we're possibly going to get to the Prem is realistically with an automatic promotion, because I think otherwise the FA and the EFL and whatnot will put as many obstacles in our path. But is it achievable, really? If you think, let's look at players who you would want in. So if we got Tanganga, we got Longman, and say we brought we got in 2 quality strikers or 3 quality strikers, say, because we've got a couple in the youth as well, coming up through the youth, what seem to be, quite prolific and they score quite often, with a couple of proven goal scorers, and use a couple of the youth and start bedding them in and playing them a bit. Is there a realistic chance? And I'll come to you, Jay, only because you're sitting there like that.
I've got a point.
Is there a realistic chance? And then I'll come to you afterwards, Stephen, that it could happen this season?
Yes.
If they make the right investment?
Yes. We saw it last season. That the only thing that really lacks in this Millwall team is goals. When we had goals last season, we was right on the cuff, and we struggled with injuries. If you was to bring in a Tanganga, with Sarkic's improvement as well in the goalkeeper position, Ryan Leonard shoring up that right back spot. Defensively, I think we're very, very solid if we bring in Tanganga. Alex Mitchell comes back into the fold. I think we're very solid at the back, and I think we've got enough work rate and creativity in midfield with Kasper that goals is the only thing I think we lack.
I was told by someone whose friend is a postman who delivers mail to Hutchinson's house. Listen, mate, I will take sources wherever I need to take them. Trust me, right? And he said that Hutch's house has been cleaned out for over a week, and that either means that he's moved or potentially that he's off. And do we still have that strong back line without Hutch?
I think we do if we bring in Tanganga, because that was
the
back all season, and it really flourished to the end of it. We was really, one thing Neil Harris will do is he'll make us very hard to beat. Very hard to beat. Our only problem is goals. And when we did score goals last season, we was on the cuff. We was 45 minutes away from from Championship player football. So I just think if we can get ourselves a 15 to 20 goal a season striker for good money, a decent one, I honestly don't think there'll be much disheart amongst the fan base that we can't make a run at it, because we're one of the better defensive teams in the league, in my opinion. I think we have been for a number of years. So it is just that little creativity spark and finishing our chances, which as we have been let down. Apart from last year, every other year we tend to not score goals, and the one year we do, we nearly do it. So why not?
And also with the Mick, with the back line, I've just had a quick look. Since Neil Harris has come in, and someone might correct me if I'm wrong on this, I believe we've conceded 9 goals in the 13 games that Harris has been back at the club.
Only conceded 2 at home.
And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong again in the chat, that Jake Cooper and Japhet Tanganga have played every game at centre back under Harris, or started every game at centre back under Neil Harris. So Hutchinson might be a bit of a blow in the changing room and as the leader. I put it on social media earlier that I felt that it's a shame that he didn't get an opportunity to get a send-off. I think he will be nailed on at some point. You know, when they bring back former players and they roll them out on the pitch, and you know, like they've done it all, you know, for the last 5, 6, 7 years. I think Hutchinson will get that as an opportunity to say.
He'll have a testimonial. He'll have a testimonial.
I don't know if he will, because he didn't do the 10 years though, did he?
I think it'd be not a testimonial as such in terms of where he's met the parameters for it. I just think that...
Who's that,
Hutchinson. I just think he'll come back and he will have some form of fan appreciation or something like that. I think he will. He'll be guest at one of the games or something, you know. He'll get something because he deserves it. I think the decision weren't necessarily made by the time the end of the season come around. I think Harris has thought long and hard about it. But, you know, this is a massive step in the direction we're moving. To clear out your club captain, that's a big statement. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we can come on to the subject of who the next captain will be.
Yeah, we'll come to that towards the end, mate.
But, you know, in terms of what Mickey said, just to move the conversation along, we are a striker and a creativity player away from making a run. No doubt. Teams would hate to play us if we was banging in goals. They really would, because the Den's going to be hard to play next year.
Michael Dunn. Hutch House has been cleared for over a week. Well, my granddad knows a woman whose ex-boyfriend lives next door to a burglar, and he said the same. And apparently, there's a lot left in there.
Love that.
I just think that if Jimmy wants the Prem to be a target focus for this season, then unfortunately you can't put all your money on Hutch being fit for the whole season.
No. And you got to break eggs to make omelettes. And so far he's cleared out his board. Yes. He's got rid of his club captain. He's making personal statements. He's owning it. He is lighting a fire at the Den this week. He really is. And all that to top it off is if next week we go and finalise a deal for Tanganga, James Belson's got off to some start for this season. He really has. And you don't, like I said, you don't make these decisions if you're not willing to invest. You don't make these decisions if you're not willing to upset people and throw toys out the cart and the norm, get rid of the norm. Because let's not forget, most of these players have been here for so long. The successful clubs, the clubs that work well financially, that they have a lot of turnover. They sell well. They bring finances in. They tick the squad over. They keep it fresh. We haven't done that. Gallen will do that. Gallen is very ruthless. And Mark Fairbrother is even more ruthless. So there's a lot of ruthless people within that club at the moment, and Harris as well, that are not going to take any shit. They're going for it. Make no mistake, they are going for it. So,
Steve Gallen who's Joe Gallen's brother, isn't it? Who
and Kevin Gallen's as well. Yeah, he was Jackett's right-hand man, did a fantastic job at QPR. The youth and the finances they did brought in from youth at QPR was fantastic. He's got a real good resume. People say, oh, he's Charlton and whatever. He's very good at his job. So You know, he brought in some fantastic loan players for Charlton as well that are now playing Premier League football. This is a good move, and I expect the recruitment to really ramp up in the summer, because not only will we get Harris's sign off on Millwall type players who knows what it takes to play here, that the fans are going to love. We're also going to have the insight from Gallen, who's going to have scouted these players, who's going to look for some deals, and I think it's a good system that we're going to have in place. But yeah, you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs, and James Berylson's making an omelette for the entire den at the moment.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting times ahead, whichever way you want to look at it. So yeah,
I also think as well with letting Hutchinson go, and again, I know we've had this conversation plenty of times, but as club captain, he probably is on a fair bit. I'm not going to speculate as to what wages he's on, but I would imagine as captain, he's probably on a fair bit of money. So again, that can be used to maybe get deals over the line or invest somewhere else. I know again, it's not going to be millions and millions of pounds, but if it's the difference between offering a player extra couple of grand a week, you've found that from letting Hutchinson leave.
But also, other players have got to step up now, Stephen. You know, the club captain's gone. He's out the door. So people have got to step up. Harris will lead the club better than any captain will. But who's going to be that guy on the pitch now? You know, is it going to be Saville? Me personally, I wouldn't like to lump it on Jake Cooper's shoulders. I wouldn't like him to be the permanent club captain while he did his role. He wasn't a captain as such. So I think that's going to be an interesting topic of discussion at some point, who the next club captain and vice captain is going to be. If it was Saville, I don't see Saville playing every game next season. I really don't. I think the turnover is going to really upset a few people, a few fan favourites, a few fans.
Sorry. Just for those of you who are listening on a podcast and moan like hell about us all the time, Mark McCallum has just posted a comment. You'll need to watch the YouTube, but basically, as soon as I say this, you will know exactly the impression Stephen is giving tonight in the T-shirt he's wearing. And Mark McGowan says, what about the John Paul Gaultier, a.k.a. Sailor Boy Jones, who's playing tomorrow night at the Den? There could be a Millwall scout there.
There could well be, but they ain't going to be looking at me. I can assure you of that. They ain't going to be looking at me. There's far better players playing in the game than me.
Yeah.
But it's all for a good cause.
So, okay then, chaps, I'll put it to you. The goalkeeper's pretty shored up for next season to start.
100%.
Cooper and Ryan Leonard are nailed on to start at centre-half and right-back, I believe. Say Tanganga does come in, that's a deal in place pretty much. If he does come in, that's your right-hand side and your centre-back sorted. Does Danny Back stay at left-back? Do we change? Do you look for a replacement there? And so where do we go from the first 11? I want your thoughts on where we need to improve and what type of player you'd like to bring into them positions. So I'll pass it on to you, Stephen, with that.
Right. So we need two wingers at least this season. I think we need someone permanently on the left and the right. I think Ryan Longman is one that we need to be trying to get over the line. Personally, Harris wants a left-footed left back. I would probably go with Danny Mack to start with after his form, but I think Harris is going to want a left-footed left back, which then that will maybe determine what he does there. I think we need two strikers because I can see Nisbet potentially leaving after. I just got it in my head that he might end up going back to Scotland. The thing is, you said it earlier, Jay. This team and Harris know how to grind out results. They know how to stop the opposition and frustrate the opposition. We see it often enough. They just don't know how to score many goals. And that's the problem. So for me, it's wingers, attacking midfielder and strikers. Now, whether you're going to get all of those and the right players in January, I don't know. I think, again, without going back too much on Fleming, if Fleming goes, I think SA is a ready-made replacement to at least given the opportunity in the 10 and give him that chance to play. But again, I don't know if you've listened to it. I listened to Ryan Leonard's Wall Talk, and he spoke about when he replaced George Saville. George Saville scored 12 goals from midfield, was sold. Leonard was bought, and he went, I was a defensive midfielder. I wasn't, I was never going to score the goals that Sav did. And that's where, if you lose Fleming, we have to find a source of goals with the money that we get.
It'd be a huge loss.
That's what I'm saying, is that's where this transfer window needs to go. It's got to. We have to be looking at the centre half. 100% needs to be sorted. I hope it's Tanganga, and the centre forward and a creative midfielder. They have to be the priorities, in my opinion.
Okay, so do you start? So, for instance, Billy Mitchell, Casper De Norre, is that your midfield pairing? Because it'd probably be mine.
I would, this a little bit rogue. I would actually perhaps look at Honeyman and Casper De Norre, and Billy as the as the kind of understudy to
Saville's getting
to
on
make a change.
Saville's getting on.
Yeah, but again, he's the next one in line, isn't he? The Hutch, the leader behind the scenes, and I think that's where his right. As much as it pains me to say it, I wouldn't be against Mitchell playing, but I would like to see Honeyman and Casper get a run of games together in the centre midfield. I think that could work.
I'd like Nisbet to actually flourish, because when Nisbet was fit, before we got injured the first time when Gary Rowett was still here, Nisbet was scoring goals.
I agree.
And it was week in, week out. Nisbet was getting goals, and he's a good goal scorer. He's a fantastic finisher.
Second highest goal scorer, considering he hasn't played any fucking games, really.
Exactly. And he's a brilliant finisher, really good finisher. So I still think there's a future for Nisbet. I just think the work rate and the demand is a little bit not to what Harris would want from Nisbet, but there's a finisher there. If Harris wants to go a typical 4-4-2, I wouldn't be opposed to getting someone around Nisbet, a target man, a Kiefer Moore. Let's just throw his name out there because we're used to it. A Kiefer Moore around the Kevin Nisbet would frighten a lot of teams, because Nisbet's a great finisher, and Kiefer Moore will do all the big body work. But no, I agree with saying in terms of Honeyman. I mean, Honeyman can play a number of positions. I also think Casper can play in the 10. He had done for a lot of his career, played in the 10 as well. And with his creativity there, I do think that's a position that is not going to be nailed down at the start of the season. That 10 role, I think that's going to be a lot of tried and tested for the first few months of the season. But there's no doubt that SA will get his chance to prove that he's the guy. But yeah, we do need a couple strikers. We need to get some outgoings, firm up left back, and get some wingers in. And we do need another central fielder. We do.
The thing is with Nisbet, and some of the chat are sort of saying he's looked out of touch and he can't cut it. I am with you, Jay. I think there is a player in Kevin Nisbet. I really do. My only concern is that everything about him, seemingly, the whole story with Millwall has been a mess. The first transfer, then he was bought, got injured, scored a couple of goals, got injured, was taken off at QPR for Ryan Longman as he was, and Nisbet was only fit striker, and it was kind of a bit of a message from Edwards at the time. That's how it seemed. And now the controversy at the end of the season and stuff.
You just said something there that's really interesting, that we went back in for Nisbet. Now, under the previous regime, it was the same players every single year we was linked with. It was very boring, very repetitive. It seemed like our scope was very narrow with players we were looking for. I don't think that's going to be the case anymore. I think Jamal Lowe's, your Kiefer Moores, the same usual suspects that keep popping up that are never going to come here. I think our scope is going to be so wide, so unpredictable. I don't think we can predict anything or trust any rumour that comes out about transfers, because this is a new regime now. This isn't, I'll stick to what we know, or we tried to get him before, we was nearly there, let's try again, even though he'd torn his ACL and, he was a worse off player, but we're still trying to get him. That was a real problem that we've had for years in transfers, where we kept trying to go after the same people that were rejecting us. For one, these are players that clearly didn't want to be here to start with. So I think we're going to see a real upturn in our approach to recruitment and our scouting and the players we're looking at.
On that as well, again, going back to the Ryan Leonard Wall talk, it was really interesting the way he spoke about Yuri Skalak, saying that the club wanted him for a long time. He was a good lad. It just never worked out. But it's the same principle that we seem to identify a player to say, 2 seasons ago, we go after him for 4 or 5 transfer windows, and then we finally get it over the line. I think Matt Smith had a hint of that. I think we always wanted Matt Smith, and we perhaps got him. I know he was good for us, but perhaps got him a little bit too late. If we had him a bit earlier, you might have even seen more out of him.
Yeah.
So I do think that goes on. Bringing it back full circle back to Nisbet. Again, it's service. If you can get him service, he will score goals. But the problem for me is that there's a lot been said off the field, and it's an easy route. It's an easy route for him to go back to Scotland, isn't it? It's just simple.
Yeah.
That would be a simple transfer.
My question for you is, he looked, and I know he's second highest goal scorer, and I know I did say before people say that I think he'd scored 20, 25 goals, but do you think he just found the Championship completely overwhelming? Because in the pre-season, he looked good. 1, 2 here, hat-trick. Didn't he get a hat-trick? Yeah, he did.
I don't think so.
He scored. No, he did in pre-season. In pre-season, he did.
No, I mean, I was just answering your question. I don't think he found it too difficult. He scored some quality goals, but Burnham away, Stoke.
Yeah, but he missed a lot.
He did miss a lot. I think 3 managers. He's come to a new country to play football, more physical, more harder league. The Scottish is moody. Let's be honest, it's a moody league. But he's come to a more fast-paced, more physical league. He's had 3 managers, 3 very different types of system. A lot of movement around him in the positions, the style of play. He's also battled injuries. I don't think he's found it hard. I think he's found it hard within himself to adapt to them scenarios that I've just laid out. But he's a goal scorer. I think that will come easy to him once he's fully fit, settles down a little bit, like he did earlier on in the season. Yeah, I think he'll score goals for us. I think he'll score a lot. It's just whether he fits the mantra of what Harris wants him to do. Has he got what Harris wants him to do? The tracking, the running, the physicality, the just run around and you might get 1 or 2 chances a game. I think he feeds off getting the ball a lot and running into space and having a lot more opportunities. But that hasn't worked out. I think it's more a case of whether Harris views him as being able to do the job rather than can Nisbet do the job, because I think he can. I just don't think he's
I'm going to throw a curveball in here. Do you think realistically that we probably need 2 new strikers, because both our strikers currently, Nisbet and Bradshaw, are pretty shit?
I don't think it's for that reason.
If you look at his goals, if you look at Bradshaw's goals, yes, he scored, like last season, look at Watford, and he scored 3 here, 3 there on the televised games. He scored a couple of 2s. But actually, he hasn't really been a prolific scorer. He hasn't scored every game or anything else. He's not extra time going into the den in a set.
He's the opposite of Nisbet. If you could put them both together.
But Nisbet's played less. Nisbet's played less games than Bradshaw and scored more.
I would say, and again, I know it's really easy because bringing Obafemi into this with his pace, that there was a chance that Obafemi had. I think it was against Leicester when SA put the ball through to him and he beat one of the defenders and hit it straight at the goalkeeper just after we'd scored. I would be really confident as to say if Nisbet's on the end of that chance, Nisbet scores.
Yeah.
And I know Nisbet might not have the pace of Obafemi.
He's got that finesse about him, Steve.
Yeah.
He's got that
he does.
Finisher.
He does.
If anyone plays FIFA, he's got that finisher architect about him. That goal he scored against Stoke, just to bend that in the corner, he's got that finishing about him. He's just not going to run around like Bradshaw does. Bradshaw's had 1 good year in 7 years at Millwall. Good year.
If he
does what Harris wants him to do.
If you could mix those 2 players together, we would have a phenomenal striker.
Without doubt.
And you'd have someone that's worth a lot of money at this level of football as well. Because this is where, sorry, just to go back to Mickey's question, I think we still need 2 more strikers this transfer window. We need one with real pace, like an Obafemi, and we need a bigger sort of target man striker. So you've got different options and can try different combinations. That's what I would be looking at.
That striker room then is very crowded because you've also got to factor in Duncan Watmore into that. Is Watmore going to be then utilised primarily as a winger to take Longman off, take our other new winger off? Where does he fit into that? Because Bradshaw and Nisbet, if you've got 4 strikers, 5 including Watmore, one of them's got to go.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean,
how much
every time, right? We sit there, do a show, whatever. We always go, oh, we need a striker, we need a striker, we need a striker. But actually, do we fucking need a striker? Because right now we have listed with numbers. Okay, one of them obviously has gone now, but we have, or 2 maybe. We have Kevin Nisbet, Tom Bradshaw, Ryan Longman, Adam Mayer, Duncan Watmore, Michael Obafemi, and Amaku. So take out Obafemi, take out Obafemi, and obviously Longman for now. But we still have 5 current strikers on the books.
7's well too much. They've got to go.
How many of the but how many goals have they scored? I'm not being funny. Like, you know, Bradshaw's only at the club. Let's be honest. Tom Bradshaw is only at the club because he triggered an extension because he's played so many games.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think he's going to play that much football. Yeah, he's happy, and I know Harris likes him, but Neil Harris isn't stupid. You can't.
On that same point, let's be honest. On that same point where you're making, right? Fleming was our top goal scorer, and he's not even a fucking striker. So out of 7 strikers, one of them is the second leading goal scorer who played pretty much half the season, if you're lucky.
Yeah, quarter.
And this is it.
So
and this is what we were saying. We don't score enough goals. And that has always been the problem. And the one year that we did score enough goals, admittedly only between 2 players, we blew it. So, you know,
what you mean last season?
Yeah. That was the only time we scored enough goals really to attack the top 6, and we blew it when it was in our own hands. That's just the way that it is.
The problem is as well is that we haven't actually. There's a comment I'll put up a minute ago that we hadn't actually played to Nisbet's strengths. We don't actually play to any striker's strengths. It's be very resolute defensively and then try and hit someone on the counter, and whoever's furthest forward try and score. So we don't actually play to a striker's strengths. We haven't had the ability to see Harris football in full-fledged because it took us so long to get late. And we played pretty well in the last 2 games when we was safe, but we haven't had a plan B where we can stick a big lump up top and start putting balls in the box. Someone 6'3", 6'4". All the strikers we've got are a very similar build, very similar stature, and we can't actually change the game plan up. So while we need to play to their strengths, we also need to have a different option to change it up when the strengths that we're playing to are not working, because every team's different. Every team will defend us the exact same if we can only play one way. So we do need to overhaul the striker room. But what happens to Imaku? What happens to Bradshaw? What happens to Nisbet, Duncan, Watmore? There is a lot of moving parts that need to be sorted first before we bring in 2, because you can't just have 7, 8 strikers on the books and not think about moving 1 or 2 of them on. Maybe Imaku goes out on loan. You know, maybe that happens, but that has to happen before we bring people in.
I would where Imaku's concerned, and I know it might not necessarily be his preferred position, but I don't think he will ever make it as an out-and-out number 9. It's not going to happen. So that's where with him, I think you can possibly justify him in the squad, but as a wide player rather than an actual striker.
In a 4-3-3.
Yeah, or something like that. Duncan Watmore, I don't think anyone actually knows what his proper position is. He's played attacking midfielder, forward, right, left. He's played all over the place. So again,
but he's a good utility man.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is
finances, you need them players. So I think he stays. I don't think he goes.
No, he doesn't go. But it's not an out-and-out striker on the books. That's what I'm saying. You need 4 of them. We've
only got 2.
Okay.
Yeah,
just
out of all that list, we've got 2.
So those of you telling us about that, it's going to we do see. I don't think you're going to get it on there now, is it? It's not coming up on yours, but yeah, I've got it
on that right hand side in the form of Joshua Williams.
I've got it. We're watching it on in the background. So,
well, if we mute it, Mick, and keep it up there, what about that? If we mute it, keep it up there, so we can watch it with Roland?
We'll get hammered, mate. So yeah, but
yeah,
it's
exactly.
if it goes to penalties, then I'll take my chances.
But no, look, I agree to your point. Is that there's a lot we need to sort out before we bring people in. I think we'll see levers first. What happens with Murray Wallace? What happens with the like your SA? You know, does Harris go? Well, if he wants us to make the Prem, do I send SA out on loan, free it up, free another position up? I don't think he will. But these are all discussions that they're probably having now, more so at centre back and striker. That would be the forefront of the discussion, because the first thing that all reporters have said, and even Harris has said, is we need an out-and-out number 9. That is, he hasn't even mentioned centre half. It's we need a number 9.
Well,
we need to keep Harris. No, we don't.
Yeah,
we don't need to keep.
Yeah,
we need a backup.
Yeah, we need a backup. We need a number 2.
Yeah, we do need a backup keeper, 100%.
Because right now we've got number 1, so we've got Sarkic number 1, and then we've got Truman number 2, which is fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
But we'll sign a keeper that won't play, because Sarkic is going to be the number 1 unless something drastic happens. The other thing Harris said, and I've been banging on about this, every Millwall fan probably has. Harris inherited a squad that virtually didn't play with wingers. It was a wing back system, and Harris doesn't want to play it. So,
well, what does Harris love?
Wingers.
Exactly.
Absolutely. We've had, this week was the anniversary of Sir Jimmy Abdu Day. All the club was posting all that kind of stuff, and in the build up to that goal, Dave Martin did exactly what Neil Harris would want someone in his team to do at the moment: get to the byline and get the ball across. And we don't have enough players that can do that. So there's a lot of overhaul going on. He's inherited a Gary Rowett 3-5-2 squad. And Harris is going to turn us into a little bit more of the up and at 'em, get down the channel, get to the byline, put balls across, and try and cause havoc that way. Whether it's one transfer window, who knows?
Mark McCallum has got a good point there. The current system,
that's it. This is what I'm saying.
Doesn't allow the strikers to score. And the thing is, so if you look at the team, we've got 8 defenders. Okay, not necessarily 8 now, because Hutch is gone, Norton Cuffey's gone, Joe Bryan is injured, Tandanga is gone. So right now we have four defenders: Danny Mack, Murray Wallace, Jake Cooper, and Wes Harding.
And a couple of young lads. The young lads who've come back off of the loan.
Alex Mitchell will be back as well, won't he?
Well, fingers crossed. And then the midfielders, we've got Mitchell, Fleming, Campbell obviously isn't there, Leonard, Saville, Denor, Essay, Honeyman. So at the moment, the midfield is pretty solid. Even if we lose Fleming, it's still fairly solid to a degree, right? The forward line, we've got a fair few there but don't fucking score. We've got, Nesbitt, Bradshaw, Longman, or not Longman, but Mayer and Wallace, Watmore even.
Adam Mayer's an interesting name. That's an interesting name. Is he one that takes up that position? Is it Longman and Mayer? I know that Harris predominantly prefers Longman on the left-hand side because he likes him to cut in. I don't see Mayer playing on the right-hand side. I think Mayer could well play that wide left forward, maybe in the 10, kind of like a Callum Styles type player that we had. I'd love to bring Callum Styles back if he's available.
And that was one we should have signed. We should
100%.
We should have just threw the money out the window and gone,
yeah.
Do you know what we're seeing?
Excellent player.
I mean, Peter Sullivan, as much as he's piss-taking and everything else, he has a point here. A front line of Marku, Nesbitt and Mayo would frighten most defences next season.
Pure pace, but would they get the goals?
But I'm going to say something a little bit outside the box here. I would be amazed if Adam Mayer is still at the club during this transfer window. I think he's going straight out on loan.
Yeah, I think he is. It's a big.
There's no way. Yeah, there's no way that he'll be getting into the first team this year, in my opinion, under Harris.
Okay, so go on. I'll let you finish.
I look at it and go, a prospect. He was brought in as a prospect by Aldo, Edwards, whatever. And for whatever reason, we know the reason that, that he's not played because it is too much of a jump. Harris isn't stupid. I just cannot see him playing much football for the club this year, and a loan move would be the right thing for him personally.
I agree. All right, then. So I'll to move the conversation along then and move off of transfers. Who are the 3 players you see going out, and who are 3 players you see coming in? If you haven't got names, just positions or style. But who's the 3 you see going out and the 3 you see coming in? Both.
Okay, so I think we'll,
because realistically it's 3. We need 3, don't we?
Yeah, we'll cut the players that are going out from now. I mean, obviously we're going to do the retain list, and Hutchinson's going to be on that, so I won't include him. I think Fleming will go. As much as I hate to say it because I don't want him to, I think Nisbet will go. And I reckon they'll come to an arrangement or find a way of seeing Murray Wallace out of his contract, providing defensive cover comes in.
Put your ones in the comments. Those of you watching and listening, put them in the comments, mate. And let us know what yours are.
Players coming in. I have 2, possibly 3 names. I think Tanganga, I believe he will join the club. In what kind of deal, I don't know, but I think he will join the club. I think the fella at Oxford, if Oxford don't go up, Mark Harris, who is their centre forward, I think he is one that I really do think that's who Harris was going to view when he went to that playoff game the other evening.
Someone else put in a comment earlier a name of another Oxford player who's on a 12-month contract.
It's Murphy. It's he used to be at Newcastle. Jacob Murphy. I actually think there is another Oxford player that I would like us to sign. You talk about in the centre of midfield. We've been after him for a little while. Is that Brannigan?
Yeah, Kellen Brannigan.
In the middle. Again, that's dependent on Oxford going up. But I do think that Mark Harris is definitely one that Harris was looking at. He's worked with him before, and I don't want to start gaslighting anything, but I do believe that Tanganga will be a Millwall player.
Mickey, you're 3 going out. I know you don't think much of coming ins if you've got any. But
well, I do. But I think going out. I think Joe Bryan could be out.
Okay, that's interesting.
But again, I don't know if anyone's going to take him. I think I'm going to go with. I think there'll be a few youth players going out on loan because I just don't know if Harris will be able to use and take risks with the youth players this season if playoffs are the target. I don't want to see it, but could Alex Mitchell, if he doesn't get a place, go and maybe be sold because he's worth more to the club as in FFP rules because he's homegrown. So I would probably go. I would look at maybe Joe Bryan, youth, possibly Mitchell, and hopefully it doesn't happen. Hopefully he comes in, and one of the other youth or 2 of the other youth out on loan deals. I think, but as in the full team, I don't know. I mean, I don't even think. Maybe Fleming, maybe, but I don't know if Fleming will be sold. If you can get him singing, then it's worth keeping hold of him. But it's whether or not he actually wants to be here or not. The figure what John wanted, what I've heard was not hit and wouldn't, he wouldn't get sold. That's why he didn't get sold because that figure didn't hit. So I would go with them. Players coming in, I think Tanganga. I think Longman, and I think a League 1, League 2 striker, probably a League 1 striker who will who's going to be a fairly biggish striker. I don't know all the players, mate. I don't fucking watch all the other leagues like you boys, but I would say, you know, someone who's, you know, 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", something like that, who fits Harris's.
Just come in on something as well. I've just seen this comment from Andrew. For the benefit of those on the podcast, Stephen, what do you make of Harris's comment that Nisbet is very much in his plans for next season? Neil Harris did say that, but that was also before Nisbet wasn't picked for the final game for disciplinary reasons. So that does change things quite dramatically. But I agree. I do think he would like to have worked with him. He said the same thing about Fleming. So who knows? Yeah. But I agree with both of you. Both of you said earlier about throwing money at Callum Styles. At the time, we should have, not now. In my opinion.
Possibly not. I mean, I think that Fleming will go. I think Alex Mitchell will go. And I think Adam Mayer will go out on loan. I think the money will be Fleming and Mitchell. That will be where we get our finances from. It'll keep.
Yeah, but Mitchell's not going to be bundles. Don't think. What are we going to get for him?
Probably bundles.
$750,000, maybe.
Yeah, but I think that's the only really sellable asset outside of that Harris will probably be willing to let go.
Cole's got a thing there, mate. Sell Mitchell. Sell Mitchell for $750,000 with a 30% sell.
100%.
And also,
to be fair, I'll put 50% in, but yeah.
We might not get bundles for him, and I agree we probably won't, but it'd be a damn lot more than we usually get for most of our players because most of them leave on a free anyway. So do you know what I mean? I know it's not loads of money.
No, but the other players that could go, I wouldn't want to let go because I think they're detrimental to what we want to do next season. So I wouldn't want to let them go. I think Longman comes in, Tanganga, and a striker, and I do think we go out on a limb and we get surprised with a real decent midfielder, whether that be a 10 or a central. I really think we go and get ourselves a proper centre mid. I think we may go in for Lewis Travis again of Blackburn. They're in financial difficulty as well, although they might sell Schmodics to help with that. But I do think we go after a proper centre midfielder, a winger, a striker, and a centre half. And I think we recoup that with the sale of Fleming, Alex Mitchell, maybe buy Murray Wallace out, get Mayer out on loan, maybe a Marco out on loan. And you could possibly sell Kevin Nisbet. That's where I think the money's going to come from, and I think that's what I should do.
No, that's it. Peter Sullivan, the Rotherham keeper's going to Stoke, mate. He ain't coming here.
And $1 million plus
also that comment as well, Peter. He is too good to be a backup goalkeeper in this division as well. By the way, he's going somewhere to be the first choice and be playing every single game. So,
is he a Birmingham player, Jay Sansfield?
No, I don't think he is.
I don't think he is. I think he was on loan to him, wasn't he? I'm not 100%.
I'll check. If
someone in the chat can check that out, or Stephen, you can get on the computer. But I would love Stanfield because he, in the 10, not as a centre forward like Birmingham deployed. He's a Fulham player.
No,
he ain't coming to Millwall. He ain't coming to Millwall.
Right. No, that's it. Right. We will come back to the star comments just before the end of the show, but I just thought we could take an opportunity to get your thoughts, gents, while we're here, obviously, because neither one of us. I don't know. Actually, Stephen, are you invited into the? Yeah, you are. So, but we'll do it here anyway. What's your thoughts on how the championship finished? Did it finish how you thought it would? Do you not think it did? Was there any shocks to you? Anything that surprised you as such? I mean, we'll go from there. I mean, we're any comments what you're putting in now, gents, in the chat and all that. We will be still starring them, and we'll come to them right at the end. So don't panic. So we will discuss your bits and pieces.
While Stephen's looks like he's looking some bits up, I'll come in. I think the surprise, not team, was player. I think Sammy Schmodics was the big surprise for me. I thought he was unbelievable. Scored all types of goals. Really, he's the only reason Blackburn stayed up. And there isn't really much you say for teams that if they go down, it's because collectively they've been down, or they stayed up because they've collectively stayed up. They stayed up purely because he scored the amount of goals he did. So I think Schmodics was the surprise player for me. Team-wise, I think the the Championship top half or top 6 finished how we all thought it was going to finish. I really did. May not be the order as such. I thought Leeds would go straight up back up, but them teams were going to finish at the top 6, I believe. I think Preston actually really surprised me and all. I think Lowe's done a really good job. They finished outside the playoffs, but that team, what he gets out of that team is brilliant. They're quite poor everywhere else, but Coventry was a bit of a letdown. But other than that, we was a big letdown. We should have seen it coming. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but other than that, no. Schmodix was the biggest surprise, and Ipswich probably.
I would say for me, there's a couple of surprises. You touched on one, Jay. Coventry. I think Coventry will be disappointed with their season finishing. Yeah. What I was looking at was just at the table, just to see a couple of finishing places. Coventry finished 9th. Their squad is better than that. The cup run may have done them in, and having to play extra games, but I think they'll be disappointed with that. Another shock. We always talk about. In world football, the topic of conversation is that when you get up to the Premier League, and then it's always the teams that get promoted that get relegated. So Burnley, Sheffield United, and Luton are obviously coming back to the Championship. But it's the same for League One to the Championship. You always find that the clubs in League One that come up tend to, obviously, Ipswich aside. But I'm amazed that Plymouth have survived this season.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely amazed that they have managed to survive this season with their budget, their team, the turmoil they've had as well. That to me is a big surprise. And Birmingham, there's no way. I know that the investment, and we know that they had the Rooney problems, but if you look at their summer transfer window last year, their business was unreal. They brought in some really, really good players. One of them, including that Dembele, who always tears us apart seemingly whenever we played against him. For them to get relegated, that's the biggest shock of the season, because that just shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have happened. And I agree with you that Sammy Smodic, I mean, I'm not being funny. He was good. He was a good player, but he's just catapulted himself like Brereton Diaz did for them the season before. He's just put himself in the shop window. He'll end up at a West Ham or a Brighton or a Brentford or something. But I agree with you there. I've seen that a few times. So other people have said that he
says it on his show. He says it on his show all the time.
No, he probably does. But you think of the table though, gents. I mean, next season, this division is probably the best it's ever been. You look at the teams that have come up, massive clubs, financially very well, good ownership. It's tough.
I think. Yes, I agree. But I also think that it's going to be very similar to not last season, but last season, not the one we've just had, the one before it. I think it's going to be very much like that, because you've got a couple of teams on potentially the last bit of their parachute payments. If Leeds don't go up, I think Leeds will absolutely implode. I think they'll be selling.
They've got to sell
£100
million worth. They've got to recoup £100 million if they don't go up.
Yeah. Also, Norwich are in a position as well. The fact that they haven't gone up, they have apparently a loan that is secured, that was secured against potential TV rights in the Premier League, because they had the expectation that they were going back up. Now they haven't. They are going to lose. They're going to be forced into selling, Sarah Sargent, players like that. So another team spent a lot of money to get out of this division, haven't done it. Are they going to be able to do that again?
Both of them sacked their managers from it.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with Mickey. With the I think there'll be a lot of teams that are trying to get into that top 6 next year, because you won't have the Leicesters and the Ipswich that run away with the division. I don't quite think it'll be like that again. I think it'll be a bit tighter this year.
I think next season, this upcoming window, will be the largest amount ever spent in Championship history. I really do, because there's a lot of clubs that have got to go for it next season. But
there's a lot of clubs that don't have the money either.
No,
Leeds don't have the money. If Leeds don't go up, they won't have the money to be able to think they have to sell. Norwich has to sell. I think Blackburn is in very, very dangerous situation. You're going to look at Plymouth is not necessarily going to go hell and bell because potentially they're going to go down. You're going to have a few of the other bits and pieces, the other teams in the league, where I think there's going to be probably 10 teams what are going to go for it, and maybe that's why we're seeing the levels we are and whatnot, because maybe pre-season matches they've just gone, well, actually next season could be the best chance to go for it. Neil Harris is on a run. He finished the season massively better than what any of us could ever expect. We didn't think it would, and I
think Burnley have done the right thing.
We need to make the right signings, and potentially we could. But don't forget, Sheffield United have got a bit of money, but they were shit in the Premier League. Burnley didn't necessarily spend bundles.
That's why I think Burnley are going to piss the league, because I think they'll win it again. Luton have got a lot of players they're going to lose.
But they didn't pay. They didn't spend a lot there, did they?
They didn't, but these players are not going to play championship level football. Adebayo's probably going to warrant a hefty transfer fee. I thought we had a great Premier League season.
Yeah.
Barkley's not going to be there. That left back they've got, Doherty, whatever his name is, he's probably not going to be there. Kaminsky might go. So they spent to try and stay up. They did what Norwich and Fulham did for years to try and stay up, get these ex-Premier League players, these has-beens in, and then they just keep coming down, going up, going down, coming up. Fulham stabilised themselves now. Burnley have kept roughly the same team, but a couple of loans in, strengthened with top championship quality players.
But they played shit football, though, didn't they?
They did play shit football, but they might.
Yeah, I think they'll probably boss the championship this next season. But I think that if they do go up, I think they'll come down.
Yeah, I do.
So just we obviously do this separately, and we'll do it as we always do. But so you've got Burnley, Sheffield United, and Luton coming down from the Premier League. How many of them three go straight back up?
Burnley.
Sheffield United implode. I think they implode.
So it would just be. I'm not saying obviously they might get in the top 6 and not go up, but so we're saying that we think only Burnley will get promoted. The other two won't. Basically, it'll be two other.
And I think
clubs.
the loser of this playoff final, in this playoff final, they go up next year.
Yeah, probably.
Leeds are going to lose a lot if they don't go up, but Leeds are they'll still be able to. They're still a quality side.
Leeds have never won a playoff, have they?
No, they've always.
No, they haven't. People are talking about the 100 million.
Sorry,
that Nonto.
I'll keep it. Just keep us in that, then, mate.
Nonto would create half of that.
Yeah. Oh, no, he's going for 30 million. That Rutter, they spent big money on him as well, so they'll be able to recoup it relatively.
Yeah, they will.
Relatively easy.
If they don't go up this year, they will next year.
I'll be honest with you. If I agree, if Leeds don't make it this year, I think they might go up next year. I wouldn't say the same for Southampton, it's likely to be them. I think it's still 1-0. I don't think if they don't do it this year, I think they'll struggle personally. But
I think they will.
See.
But I think Sheffield United implode. I think they've got so many problems. Sheffield United off the field, they will sell some players. Luton will be all right because they're really well looked after. They've got great ownership. They got good manager, a real good manager. He might not even be there. There might be a Premier League club that goes, do you know what? I'd take a punt on Rob Edwards.
I'll tell you now, I don't think we need a keeper, mate. I'll get this under 21 guy in training with our keepers, mate. He's just saved a point blank shot with a bobble, and he was ready for the follow on from it, mate.
Good, and Steve Gallen,
proper save.
And I won't be surprised if Steve Gallen's sitting there watching that. That's what he's job
looking.
Now,
they panned the camera around a little minute ago, right on the where they are on Kitchener stand, and it looks as if there's quite a few directors there tonight. I don't know if they are. I'm not there, but it looks. As if there's quite
I saw a picture. Apparently, James Berylson's there.
Oh, is it Jimmy's there? Is
watching
it?
the yeah, apparently he's there. I saw as well Tony Pulis. There was a picture of him in the director's box. Romain Esse is also there tonight as well.
Tony
watching the game.
Pulis.
Tony Pulis.
But yeah, Tony Pulis was pictured.
I would love.
Let me try and dig out the picture.
Tony Pulis in some sort of advisory role at Millwall, because I've always thought that, you know, you see these players and you think he's definitely going to end up at Millwall at some point in his career. Tony Pulis has always been that manager. I've always thought if he ever was available at the right time, he would be a Millwall manager, because he just fits Millwall, Tony Pulis, in my opinion. I know he's a bit long in the tooth now, probably would never manage again, but in an advisory role, if he's at the Den, what business has he got being at the Den? I would love that. I think him and Harris would get on our house on fire. Very similar people.
Mate, we're in fucking second half, second part of extra time, which is very, very close to finishing, and fucking Birmingham's just scored.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
There we go.
We've had a good run. Look, the future's bright in these youth teams. It really is bright. You know, Nugent, all of the Fitzgerald, they've all done a fantastic job. And Robbo, you know, they've done a brilliant job with the youth setups that we've got. And that is going to stand us in good stead.
That cheeky little cunt who's number 7 with his fucking mophead little cunt fucking capping his ears to our crowd. Brave little fucking twat. Sorry.
But yeah, look, it's just to summarise everything. Look, it's going to be a very unpredictable, very exciting, very busy off-season leading up to the season, and it's a very quick turnaround. We've got the Euros, remember? That's going to impact teams signing players, letting players go, you know, that's going to impact things. So it's going to be very busy, very hectic. We'll probably see a lot of last minute. We'll probably see a lot of early deals done. Stuff will try and happen early, but then nothing. And then late on. So
no, that's it. So look, we've got a couple of minutes left, I suppose, and we've managed to catch back up, which is fairly good. Are you boys going on summer holidays this year, gents?
Not abroad holidays, just because of work commitments and stuff like that. But I am away, not next week, the week after. I'm away for a week, and then in August I'm away for a week, just because the kids love the old slot machines, and we get the old caravan for twice, 3 times.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. The kids love the slot machines. Everybody loves the slot machines. Yes. Don't put it on the kids.
My kids love the little 2p ones. I love the
that's it. I tell you, I keep looking on eBay for the 2p nudge.
Oh, they mustard. My kids spend
the 2p nudge machine, mate. I want one. Yeah. They're fucking I grew up on them. But but the only reason I say is I'm going to start going forward, start showing you a few bits and pieces what potentially are going to go on sale. They might come back. There's no pricing yet, but we will be getting pricing out shortly when the website goes, and we'll be putting stuff in. But I'm sure if you can get in touch with Lou, then you know you might be able to get something there. But what about this, gents? And before anyone says anything, I know exactly what you're saying, but don't worry.
Oh, you beat people to the punch there, Mick. Very nice. Looks very well made. A little bit of leather, is it?
A little bit of leather, mate. Everyone loves a bit of leather, don't they?
A little bit of leather. Very nice.
You know, Jay loves a bit of leather, so I'm told. But, you know, they are...
Only after hours.
You know how to get out. Drop us an email if you are interested or not. We will be putting something up, you know, if you are interested in potentially some of those bits and pieces. Before we end, I just want to go through, you boys have been starring stuff and everything else, so I just wanted to raise some of these comments. So, found the tournament, evening lads, hope all well. Is there any news on the Tanganga? As far as I'm led to believe, the only news there is that Spurs have accepted an offer or accepted terms, whatever as such, and we're allowed to talk to the player. But again, he's on holiday, I believe, and it's probably agent chat. But at the moment, it's personal terms. So whether or not we can do that, I don't know. Mark McCallan, evening lads. Apart from Hutch, who has left? Who else will be released? The only other person officially is Bart, isn't it? Or the only person who's left officially is Bart.
Yep.
Will Stephen be in his shorts? Hey, fellas. Sim Ian MFC. Hey, fellas. Just at work, wanted to say, being in the USA, you cheer me up weekly, laugh out loud. Good afternoon, Mickey, Stephen, Jay. I think that's similar Ian, who's joined our Bunches group. And again, those of you on YouTube, those of you on YouTube, right, pinned comment is our new chat group where you get some exclusive stuff in there from us and whatnot. So, you know, we're all on there. So we comment, and Dan Riggs basically posts every 30 minutes or so on there. So yeah, you can do it.
He's gonna be the new monitor of the page.
Let's get through these. So Stephen, you first then. What's your thoughts with Steve Gallen? It was with the Train Spotters a few years ago and didn't do much for them. Your thoughts, Steve, and then yours, Jay?
All I would say is just have a look at some of the loan players that Charlton signed in the last couple of seasons in his spell at Charlton, and then maybe have a little bit of a rethink. I'm not saying he set the world on fire, but a couple of players that they brought in were very, very good Premier League youngsters. So I'm willing to give the guy a chance. Look, we all complain that Aldo was a journo, or whatever his name is, was a journalist, right? At least we've got someone that has been doing the job. He's got a little bit of experience, whose black book might be a little bit bigger than Stoke and Football Manager. So I'm willing to give him some time. We'll see how it goes, rather than judge him on maybe what he did at Charlton. But I don't think it's as bad appointment as what some people have kind of been a bit disheartened by. I think that's a little bit unfair.
Stephen, I mean, fucking hell, Jay.
Look, I've got my shorts on, but I'm not in the sailor outfit. Look, I really like the hire. I like the fact it was done really quickly. It was clearly in the minds. He's got a wealth of experience, as Stephen said, at QPR, at Charlton, brought in some fantastic youth, but also financially for the clubs. He built the clubs up through recruitment and selling on, and was well involved in the youth. His brother was Jackett's assistant when Jackett was in charge at Millwall. So there's a little link there. Look, it's a great hire. It's a massive, massive upgrade. So yeah, give the guy a chance, because he fits the bill. He's got the resume for it. So yeah, let him cook.
At the end of the day, mate, proof of being the pudding.
He's Millwall now.
Let's support him for what he is. See how he does, and then, you know, come halfway through the season, I'm sure we'll be cutting the fella off. So
I won't even be halfway through the season. It'll be the end of the transfer window when we ain't signed Messi.
Exactly. But it'll be judged on what he does.
That's it. The Lion Blur says, is that Captain Pugwash? So that'd be me. Abel Seaman is obviously Stephen, and Cutthroat J is Cutthroat J.
Is that because I sound like a cross between Liam Neeson in Taken and Marge Simpson?
That's it. Marge Simpson. Fucking hell, yeah. Oh, mate.
You might have shot yourself in the foot there. You might have shot yourself in the foot there, mate.
I don't mind taking arrows.
If Peter's still in the chat, he's going to be on Photoshop pretty quickly, mate, I tell you.
And I've just banned him.
Chris Brown has said, row, row, row your boat. I'm going down the den. Merrily, merrily, merrily me. I'm wearing shorts again. Andrew Roberts says, Mickey, we don't want to sell our youth players, at least not yet. Integrate them in to the first team, and if they do well, then we can sell them. Absolutely, 100%. I agree with you. Absolutely, fully agree with you. But if the playoffs are the challenge, are the target, then unfortunately, I do not see the youth getting too much of a sniffing, if that you're not going to take a risk by playing players who potentially aren't going to necessarily do what you want them to do instantly. And that's a very, very sad thing. But you've got to look at playoff, develop youth. And if you get to playoff, the financials are much bigger. So, yeah. If he does decide to put money in, what player would you want them to sign as the marquee type signing? It's a good question.
I think we kind of covered it.
Should have put it up earlier.
Yeah, I'd say Tanganga's going to be the one on everybody's lips, the one everyone wants. But
Southampton have just scored another one, by the way.
Oh, wow. But if we can sign a marquee striker or spend some money on a proven striker, I think the fan base will be happy as that as the marquee.
No, that's it. If we'd have developed Lovelace, who knows how much we could have sold him for. He would have been playing in our first team. Look, at the end of the day, mate, I think it was more his parents than him.
It was.
Wanted to go to Scotland. Sometimes the benefits for your parents outweigh the benefit for your son long term.
He was only 15 as well.
Yeah, so unfortunately, sometimes it works like that. Hopefully, he has a glittering career in football. If not, well, his mum's got a new house, allegedly. If true about Hutch, do you reckon he was offered a pay-as-you-play? Could be. No. Stephen Lloyd, plus we get more money due to the TV deal. Don't hold your breath on that. It's not.
Did you see that Andy Holt, who is the chairman of, I think it's Andy Holt, chairman of Accrington Stanley. He's very active on Twitter. He engages, he talks, he's very open about how running the football club. And he said, and I get that it's not our level of football, but he said that the new TV deal was worth 300,000 to football clubs in League Two. Now I get that that's the fourth tier of English football, but for them having 20 games, I know they might. So it's 20 games in League One and League Two, 24 in the Championship. For that amount of football, and they're only earning £300,000. That deal is absolutely rotten. So the Championship, it won't be as much money.
As well, didn't they?
Yeah.
So
the money in the Championship will obviously be more than that. But say, for example, it's 1.5 million. I don't think it's enough personally, but
no, it's not.
That's the
not
deal.
For what you lose on the day of gate receipts, sale of merchandise.
It's not a lot.
Catering.
I thought it was something like. I thought it was really shit. I thought it was like it went up about 3.5 million. It's still shit.
Yeah. Okay.
You Google it, Stephen.
No one seems to have an answer as to what it is in the Championship, though. So.
Bradley Dack is released by Sunderland. Would you take him? Quick answer.
No.
Bobby, next year with the right players, Mickey playoffs. Yeah.
Maybe.
We need a different captain than Cooper. Quick fire, you two. Stephen, captain for next season. No thinking.
George Honeyman.
Jay?
Ryan Leonard.
Yeah, Ryan Leonard. Sean. Yeah, I'll go both of them. One of them. Or both of them, I would say they're a good pick. So, yeah. Michael Dunn says, I'm definitely happy that JB seems to be putting his stamp on our club and we need a tough business brain who is not afraid to make tough decisions. I'll back him all the way. I'll back him as well.
100%. Agree with that.
Bobby, Billy Sharp, quick reply, boys. Yes or no?
Yeah, I'd have Billy Sharp.
No.
Yeah. If it come with someone else and he wasn't the main one, yeah.
Just before you move on, the only figure that I can find roughly is that Championship clubs will get. No, I've got it that they would get 2.95 million plus a share of the boosted funds, whatever that is.
Still not enough in my opinion, but there you go.
I think the boosted funds is 11.6 million, maybe.
But it is only a share.
And that's divided, and that's divided by 24. And I think that there's a higher percentage for people higher up the league.
Also, that's a minimum amount of games you play, not to mention if you're fighting for the playoffs or, there's a rivalry that's developed throughout the season. They'll put that on TV, they'll mix it up. So you might get the odd 1 or 2 extra prime time games in there.
Yeah. SA is the perfect replacement for Fleming.
I wouldn't say perfect. I'd say next in line.
Yeah, the Lion says his release list would be Wallace, Hutch, Brian, Nesbitt and Fleming. There we go. Josh Murphy from Oxford is out of contract. He only signed a 12-month deal with them last summer. He's worth a shot, in my opinion, on the right wing. It wasn't long ago Cardiff paid £11 million for him.
I agree. I love him.
Was Neil Harris at Cardiff when they got him? Because if so, that could be the player what he's looking at. Because if we went
Might
for
well
11
be.
million there and he's a free now, it fits in with the criteria of get cheap, play well, sell.
Because did that Harris, that striker, play under Harris?
Yeah, Harris. So Mark Harris and Josh Murphy were at Cardiff during Harris's spell.
Right. So he may be looking at both of them.
Potentially. So Josh Murphy was at Cardiff between 2018 and 2022. Harris was there, I think, in 2019, I think.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
So he was there.
David Clark says Dave Clark 5. No, that's showing my age a bit, isn't it? Not as old as Joe, but a little bit. Too many defensive midfielders.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, if Murray Wallace has been fit, do you think Harris would have played him ahead of Danny Mack at left back?
Yes, all day long. He loves Murray Wallace. We know that. I love Murray Wallace.
What?
I love.
Oh, there we go.
He's just been hit with the injury bug, and been a great servant. I love Murray.
No, that's it, doesn't it? So
we don't know. I'll be honest. I actually don't know. Defensive setup.
I'm looking forward to it.
Wing play. Looking forward to it.
Wing play is the one.
Yeah, it will be
definitely
wing play.
with wingers.
So yeah.
Very disciplined attack.
Harris was quoted as saying that Nesbitt is very much in his plans. Yeah, we've done that. Yes, Mickey, we do. To get to the players, we need a 15 goal a season player, as we proved last season, or at least 2 who haven't achieved this and end up fighting relegation. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. That's what we said, isn't it? I agree with that.
Alex
I agree with that as well.
What more best position is in the shade?
Yeah.
Do we need a left-sided central defender?
No, I don't think so.
No, but I'm still dubious on Jake Cooper, but you can't argue with some of his stats and his longevity. So
according to the players, mate, they love it.
Yeah, he's been brilliant.
That's it. Exactly. That's it. You can't argue that fact. If you get Tanganga back, why would you split them up? So
no, you wouldn't.
No. So
he's likely to be the captain, although we've got our own opinion.
Steve Lloyd says can see Honeyman being the new captain.
Yeah,
I agree. That would be my pick. He would be
if he plays though, because if we're going after wingers, I don't think he's going to be an actual winger. He might get pushed out for Sav, Billy, Casper.
That's where I said though I would have him as the central midfielder starting personally. I think he looked really good there, but again, it depends what Harris wants to do.
Ellis Sims will be the top scorer next season. He took a while to settle in for Coventry.
Good shout.
That's a good shout. Really good shout.
And Alex S says, where are the TMP awards? They're coming, fella. Don't worry. It's just right now. It's been a massively changing environment. Fucking every day at the minute. We didn't expect. So there needs to be a little bit of edit, and we need to get some prizes done as such.
Just want to grab this last one, gents, before it comes up, because it is something we spoke about, which we haven't touched on tonight. Scott says, will we use our buyback option on a Laffy? That is something we haven't spoke about. Your thoughts very quickly.
I don't know. I don't know how much Harris rates him.
I don't know. I think it would be. I think again, if it's not silly money, it's worth it. But if we're going to go all out and try and buy a striker, which is where all the noise is coming from the club, I don't think you can have it as a Laffy, because if you're going to sign him, you've got to play him. But if you're going to then go and buy spend a couple of £1 million on a main striker,
Jimmy's there, by the way. Jimmy's there.
No, I told you.
No, he's presenting the medals to the under 21s. Luckily enough, now the TV man suddenly realised what he's fucking there for and turned the camera away from the Birmingham team to the Millwall team.
I agree with what you're saying, Stephen. If we're going to make this splash and we're going to sign a 15, 20 goal season striker, I don't think the fan base will be sold on a Laffy. I think we need to go hardened, proven, maybe even if he's a bit older with a bit of experience. I think that's the direction we're going to go in.
I would only sign a Laffy if one of Bradshaw and Nisbet leaves the club. Bradshaw's not going to go anywhere because he's just
a Laffy would have to come with someone else. He couldn't be the only one.
No, that's it. So yeah, Stephen, any final words?
Just again, obviously I've mentioned my charity game at the game tomorrow, but our very own Joe Zampa is also playing. He's playing in the old boys game, the over 40s, next week at the Den. If anyone's around, I would like to go and watch Joe try and play football. 6:30.
Anyone
next
watching
Tuesday.
Stephen playing on Saturday or Joe on Tuesday, and you get any footage, join our chat group and post the footage in there. And then,
Mate, I'll do
if
it.
you have some really good footage of Stephen or Joe, we will then post it on next week's show.
The whole game gets filmed, so I'll send it to you if you want. I'm not going to get much of the ball, and I'm going to look like an idiot. So you do what you like with it.
Then it's copyrighted. If someone videos
you can use
itself,
it.
it's
Yeah,
no
you can use it.
copyright.
Though.
So, yeah.
They don't. You're able to share it, but
so there's two charity games coming up. Go down to the Den. It's free entry. You can go down and watch Saturday night and Tuesday night. But obviously, Saturday night you'll probably need to leave early to get back to watch Tyson Fury and Usyk fight. So you've got that downside. But Tuesday you can go laugh at Joe Zampa because he is old and he is running around and he might get injured. So just for that, Joe.
But that's it from me.
No problem. Jay, anything you want to say?
Yeah, just look, exciting times ahead. We've been laid, the law's been laid out. We can see the plan. We've been told the plan. Let's hope that the club put in fruition, that we have a good season, a good off season. This is one big family. We're all in it together. No one's on their own in this. So let's hope that the band sticks together and we do make that little playoff push or that Premier League push. So, yeah, exciting times for the season coming up.
Absolutely. And can I just say one thing? I think the fact that James Brelson is there at the Den on a Friday night, handing each medal, shaking their hand, having a chat with them, is top class.
He's put himself in the firing line. This is what he wanted. He's going to be at the forefront of this club now. You're going to see him more than ever now, and he's told us that. So I'm all for it.
Good luck to him. And
Mbappe incoming.
That's why he's got a French newspaper in his pocket.
Language you don't usually hear on television. Millwall in London's Dockland.
No one likes us, but we don't care. We're that Millwall podcast. Loud every Friday night right here. Legends like Jimmy Abdul, Teddy Sheringham, and Kitchener too. Super Neil Harris, a fucking legend too. Through the good times and in this life, we support the Lions all our life. This ain't no place for fancy feet. This is fucking Millwall through and through. Located on our very own John Pennison way. Let them all come, let them have their say. Millwall till we die.